Hello and welcome back. My name is Douglas Grummins. Thank you for joining us. And this is the second reading, part 2 of my book Wheels, still chapter 1. We left off with the Taoist story and the 4 levels of understanding. And now we'll go a little deeper into understanding those 4 levels and why the journey must be made from innocence as a child to another gained innocence as an adult. Before we get into the text, I'd like to share with you why I'm doing these podcasts. The reason is you are chained. Whether your chains are golden or made of steel, you're still chained. So you need to be realized what you are chained to, and that is the unknown. The only way to break free from these chains is to go into the unknown, to face it, to face the darkness, to face with courage, and bring light into the situation. When you bring light in, darkness ceases to exist. It's not that the darkness is opposite to the light. Darkness is the absence of light. So I'm trying to dispel the argument of two sides about light when they have never seen the light. All they have seen is darkness. They have never known the light. So the only thing that can dispel the argument of darkness is eyes. And that's what you need, is eyes. So that's the purpose of my writing and my sharing with you in this podcast, is to bring insight and to help give you a vision. So now we go back to the text. We left off with the story. In Japan, there is a school of archery. Within this school, they practice archery until they can hit the bullseye every time they draw an arrow. They spend many years practicing their art. Then at the last stage, they are told to put the bow away. They are told not to think about archery, to let it go altogether. And once they have completely forgotten about the bow and the archery, then the master reminds them, you are an archer. Now a bow is no longer needed. Just the look of the archer and the bullseye is hit. His look alone can pierce the heart of a bird on the wing. Then and only then are they considered masters of archery. In the same way, letting go of everything that you have learned is the 4th level, the 4th stage of human understanding. I compare the 4th level to one who has climbed the summit of spirituality. So many times when he or she is in the valley, the essence of the summit remains within and without him. For all I know, there may be a 5th level of understanding, but no one has shared it. These 4 levels bring the searcher back to innocence. They complete the circle. From innocence as a child to a new innocence, a second innocence, which can only be earned by the seeker who goes on the journey. The old man by the river lived with the 4th level of understanding. John Lennon found his river by diving into his family and quite possibly some deeper understanding of life. Now let's go deeper into this song. People say I'm lazy, dreaming my life away. Well, they give me all kinds of advice designed to enlighten me. When I tell them that I'm doing fine watching shadows on the wall, they say, don't you miss the big time, boy, you're no longer on the ball. From the outside, the crazy old man sitting in the muddy river bank looks lazy. What you cannot see is the journey he endured, the countless hours he spent meditating and reading. You cannot see how many times he has climbed the mountain, or how many times he dove to the deepest part of the ocean, all so he could have a deeper understanding of the Tao. All the years he spent in the Lord's court trying to explain those heights and those depths to blind and deaf fools. No one can see where he has been or what he has experienced. They can only see a man spending all his days by a river, when in reality he's sitting there soaking up the Tao. The old man's total acceptance is the entry into the 4th level of understanding. Acceptance begins the journey towards total acceptance, or the second innocence. The way of the Tao is to accept the dialectics, to accept opposites as good, such as good and evil, or love and hate, and realize they are just 2 sides of the same coin. Once you accept this concept of dialectics, then you start moving on the path. You start entering deeper levels of understanding. As you enter these levels, then you start to harmonize with existence. It is at this time that existence, or God, reaches out to you, but only when you drop the dualistic lifestyle and start living life in its wholeness. In Jesus' dying words, "Let thy will be done," Jesus accepted and entered the fourth level. Even Jesus had to pass through the first three levels before he could say these words. His journey was not documented, but he gave us clues, letting us know we're all on a journey. One of those clues was the parable of the black sheep. In Jesus' parable of the black sheep, one of the flock ventured out to find himself. The very moment the black sheep ventured out for a deeper understanding of itself, God was watching. God does not love one more than the other, but his attention stays on the wanderer. Think about it. Imagine if you have two dogs that you love very much, and you let them out in the backyard. Now, one dog will never leave the yard because she knows better, or maybe she's just too timid. The other dog knows no fear and is quite adventurous, so you have to keep an eye on her. It does not mean that you love one more than the other, it just means your awareness is keen. Both dogs are loved equally, but your attention stays on the one who will wander. This is what Jesus refers to in the Bible when he states that the sun falls on equally on both the just and the unjust. If you think God loves someone more than the other, then you don't know God. The self-righteous believes God loves them more because they stayed and never ventured. The person who ventured might have the same intelligence as the other. But people are different. Some people are just born without fear. Some are born without fear and intelligence, so God really has to keep an eye on them. The fact is, everyone is unique, and God is indifferent to all. I have two daughters. I love them equally. They are both so beautiful. Our relationship is far from perfect because we were separated a long time ago. Still, I am always watching over them, and I only want the best for both. I am not perfect, nor do I make any claim to be perfect. I accept myself for who I am and what I have become. Just a crazy older man living by the sea, dreaming my life away. In my dream, thousands of people pass through all four levels of understanding by meditating, reading books, and celebrating this thing we call life, fully knowing they have come full circle, then joining me playing in the ocean. God does not discriminate between those in his flock and those who venture out to find themselves, or to find God. Those who venture on the path of no path, in other words, those who cut their own path, start a journey towards the second level of understanding. Completing the second level of understanding bring one into God's house. Some call it enlightenment. In the West, we call it coming home. Once enlightenment occurs, one becomes a mystic, but they are now able to transcend to the third level, crystallization. An enlightened person will spend many years soaking up the depths of the third level before entering the fourth level of understanding. In the fourth level, the seeker will simply absorb his surroundings. The fourth level is the level of total acceptance. One enlightened master, Bunan, wrote, "The moon is the same old moon, the flowers exactly as they were. Yet I have become the thingness of all the things I see." Once the journey beyond the first level has begun, it is up to you how far you will go or how deep the rabbit hole goes. There's nothing I can do or say that will take you there. I can only make you aware of these depths. These levels will bring you right back to where you started. Only now you can sit by the river or an ocean or a mountain and never be bored or feel the stress of time. One can say he enjoyed just sitting there watching the wheels. It can be summarized in this Zen poem. The wind drops, but the flowers still fall. A bird sings, and the mountain holds yet more mystery. Life is continual mystery. It is easy to take in the mystery in the presence of something majestic, such as a mountain or an ocean. Some masters blend with mountains, while others blend with the oceans. For you must venture back, reflect back to where this journey started, when life was once full of mystery. Do you remember those days of youth, where everything was so colorful and so full of mystery? A Japanese poem by Ryokan. If we gain something, it was there from the beginning. If we lose anything, it is hidden nearby. Life is circular. Many times in many forms you will come back to where you started. With spirituality, you will find many things were hidden right before your eyes. It's because you could not see them before that the journey had to be completed. It was there from the very beginning. You were either blinded or you just lost sight of it. Even though it was there from the beginning, do not blame yourself for missing it before. You still needed to make the effort to find it. Unless you were aware of it from the beginning, you must move forward from where you started to complete the journey. Some considered themselves fortunate to have sight and never felt the need to wander. Others feel fortunate to have wandered. Once you have wandered and tasted freedom, then it is almost impossible for you to be contained again. This freedom or loss of innocence is not purposeless. The path of the wanderer is dangerous and jagged, with many ups and downs. Nonetheless, all paths of this world were meant to bring you full circle, even if they seem to be leading away from everything you have known. John Lennon says, well, they give me all kinds of advice designed to enlighten me. John Lennon was just a musician, not a Buddha or a Lao Tzu. Nonetheless, his lyrics invoke a deeper meaning. I wonder why John chose the word enlighten in this part of the song. He could have said, though designed to save me, but no, he used the word enlighten. Perhaps there were those who were continually trying to shape his future for him, or maybe had a deeper meaning. My theory is that John was asked what religion he was, and he said the Church of England. Still, he chose the word enlighten. I feel John had a taste of enlightenment. I'm not saying he was enlightened, but he had a glimpse of the divineness. A lot of artists experience a glimpse of the divineness. Therefore, he could look at these fools and say, as Jesus said, "You have eyes to see, but you don't see." How can you see the invisible? In fact, no person can see. We can only read between the lines. I feel this is what John Lennon was provoking his listeners to realize. Many people are intellectuals, while some are really intelligent. Most do not see nor hear what John Lennon was trying to say to them. They may not even be bothered to look for it, nor see what John Lennon was trying to say to them, because John did not seem to follow his own deep and meaningful advice. And this is the difference between an enlightened man and a musician who has only had a taste of enlightenment in his creative state. The enlightened man lives every moment in a creative, blissful state. It is his essence. When a person becomes enlightened, all the energy and wisdom from every enlightened soul who has once walked on this earth is embedded into the newly enlightened soul. It is a paradox and a mystery as great as life itself. It is one ocean, yet the whole ocean can fit into one drop. John Lennon states, "When I tell them that I'm doing fine, watching shadows on the wall," John answers in a jokingly way, just to make fun of his controllers. Here is a man who has given the world amazing songs. In 1970, he gave us Starting Over. In 1971, he gave us Imagine. In 1974, he gave us Mind Games, where he tells us, "Love is the answer. You know it for sure. Love is a flower. You have to let it grow." It seemed John came full circle. He did come full circle to where his journey started, just as the old crazy man by the river. Or was this just a message from a higher source telling the world not to worry about missing the big time? We are all just fine watching shadows on the wall. John sings, "Don't you miss the big time, boy. You're no longer on the ball." Well, give the guy a break. The world is already full of ambitious people. John knew the big time. He lived it for many years. Then John sings, "I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I really love to watch them roll. No longer riding on the merry-go-round, I just had to let it go." It may seem like I'm getting off subject in the book sometimes, but bear with me. I will come back around and bring you back to understanding why I brought this into the book. Now back to the text. Can something be a line and a dot at the same time? This is the most important question of our time. Even more important than does God exist? Can you say for sure that you are not in a dream? What is a dream? When you are dreaming, you think everything is real around you. So can you say for sure that you are not reading this book in a dream? Can you say that everything and everyone around you is real? The only thing you know for sure is that you exist. It doesn't matter whether or not you are in a dream. You are the only thing that is a constant. Your existence is the only thing you can really be sure of. This is the only truth you can hold on to. All else is dream stuff. When I ask, can something be a line and a dot at the same time, I am asking the whole world to stop dividing. When we dissolve one dividing line, society creates a new one. If we wish to unite the world, then we need to break old habits. Dividing religion and spirituality is just another way we divide God. Religion is needed for certain types of people. Let's just say the religious person believes God is only a line. In order to perceive a line, a little space is needed between the viewer and the line. So this fits for the religious person's point of view. Whether or not the space is an illusion or is not the point. Religious people exist because they feel a space is between themselves and God. In other words, they feel separate from their creator. The spiritualist has a different perspective. They see God as a dot. In other words, the spiritualist perceives himself as godliness. Therefore, he is the dot. To perceive a dot, you do not need ample space between yourself and the dot. You are the dot. For the spiritualist, this is where you must start. The spiritualist understands that you cannot start with a line. A space will always be there between you and God. This is just a perception, but it is a perception that you create. Since your existence is all you can be certain about, then it is only logical to start with a dot, that is, with yourself. If you start with anything else, then how will you know if God or the perception of God is an illusion or a dream? Believing one way or the other does not make one inferior, nor does this make them superior. Remember, everyone is different, and we should all rejoice in those differences. When one comes to the realization that something can be both a line and a dot at the same time, then a new man is born. Only then a bridge can be made to unite both the spiritualist and the religious mind. Lao Tzu called this living in the Tao, the presence of wholeness. Karl Marx once said, "Religion is an opiate for the people." All pseudo religions are just illusions for so many people. Those illusions are all they will ever have. Pseudo religions are a nest, and in a way the whole world is full of nests. Nests are beautiful as they are. In the past, masters have tried to tell their followers that these nests are rotten. They must be dropped. My understanding is different. I say they are utilitarian. They serve a purpose. There are so many false leaders who have created nests for their followers. The point to remember is it is your faith towards God that will guide you and let you know when the leader is false or not. The Tao does not exist to build you or give you another nest. The Tao is here to help you to be ready to leave it and to fly into the open sky. I am here to bring awareness into your life and hopefully to help you become enlightened. When the day of your enlightenment comes, you will have left the nest. God will always be there right inside of you, and you will know it. When God is always with you, you will not need the nest anymore because you will be religious in every act you do. You will eat, sleep, and breathe God. God will see through your eyes. God will hear through your ears. You will be a living incarnation of God on this earth. The nest will be there for you when you return. Only when you return, you will have the essence about you, and you will be able to share your wisdom, and those who have not left the nest will be blessed by your wisdom. In fact, the only people worthy of leading or caring for those who have not left the nest are those who know the open sky and have returned to help others. Remember, the nest was needed. Without it, you would not have come to this point. Do not condemn others for needing the nest, for two reasons. First, you'll feel a subtle ego arising because you are coming closer to self-realization. Second, remember that those in the nest are your brothers. They're your sisters, your mothers, and your fathers. We are all connected. Each of us is a single dot in a long, infinite line, a line that stretches across eternity. Every dot in this line is equally important. Those who need the nest might need several lives before they are ready to leave it. Reincarnation, or involvement through continual lifetimes, is one form of being on the merry-go-round. John Lennon could see all these wheels, and he came to a point where he had to share a tune saying, "Let it all go." In other words, he was no longer riding on the merry-go-round, but still he loved to sit and watch the wheels, watch the madness. Everywhere around you, millions of people are still on this merry-go-round. If you are able to step back and be aware of your situation, one day you will be able to decide whether or not you want to get off the merry-go-round. Well, folks, I think we should probably end it right about there. And once again, thank you for joining me. My name is Douglas Grummins, and I appreciate your time. God bless and take care.